Every vote matters.
But we are not focusing on our locality or surrounding.
The youngsters are given that opportunity to vote.
This is India and it is like losing its meaning of diversity.
Exactly. So we are with a bunch of youngsters here who are marking their debut in the voting world. As being part of the voting fraternity, how do you guys feel so about this huge responsibility coming onto your shoulders?
There is that curiosity, and like we have seen our elders going to give their votes, and we are the ones who used to be at home, so we would like be curious. We would ask them like how did it go and all those questions. So I guess we'll be experiencing that.
While coming to the responsibility, that's obviously there for every citizen, but because we are the first time voters, there's a sense of excitement in us.
So apart from the excitement part, like my friend just said, it's more like we also have a responsibility, and I think our vote can change how the things are right now.
Coming from what Akhil said, there is this census that 7 lakhs come from the state of Telangana. So do you guys feel that this massive number is going to actually impact the governance?
Maybe one person's vote might not matter as much as a whole, but 7 lakhs is a huge number. So altogether, if all the voters act responsibly, vote according to what is the current situation, so that might make a huge difference, because 7 lakhs is a huge number.
I want to understand, do you guys have any specific political ideologies in advance of your voting agenda? And if so, are they guided by some parental guidance, or maybe peer pressure, or maybe you have your own, individual ideologies of politics?
Ideology is inspired by many places, like you said, parental, the personal experience, everything. And end of the day, it's just your personal experience which matters the most.
Exactly.
Even when your parents are telling you something, or like they're telling you to vote for this particular party, end of the day, it depends on your experience. If your parents are telling that this party is doing it, but you're not experiencing it, or if you're not seeing it in the present situation which is happening, it doesn't make sense. End of the day, it's our personal experience and how are we feeling about it. And I think it should be our feeling, and usse hi hum aage badhna chahiye.
I don't think so, because a lot of people are manipulated by the propaganda that's going on from media. Like many media houses focus on particular political parties and kind of tell on advantages of that particular political party. And I think as an individual, we all are mature enough to know what's right and what's wrong. We shouldn't get manipulated because of that.
We as people will have a perception and an ideology as basic, but when we are exposed to different types of media or people, we'll have influence. The influences have a great impact on what our ideology is changing. So based on that ideology and current situation, that depends on what you do. So you could decide on that.
I think individually it's our responsibility, no matter what news we come across or what propaganda we come across, it's our individual's responsibility to know the backstory of it. If a media is publishing that the government did this in a bad way or they did not do this correctly, I think instead of following that blindly, every voter or every individual should know the backstory of it. Because when you are believing or trusting something, I think it's also your responsibility to know the backstory of it and then support it.
What are the measures that you guys take to possibly explore the new horizons? I mean, like to have new ideologies and to know what's going around you. What do you do?
Most of us as first time voters and young generation, we are mostly on social media, and I believe it shouldn't be trusted fully. Yeah, there are positive things and negative pros.
That's a great word of advice, I think.
Basically, like maybe try to read other like web newspapers and everything, but not just social media, as there are influencers, so they might influence you in some way.
Maybe look at the other end of the story, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
So before digesting any news, we have to fact check it.
Exactly. I think that's a very relevant point. And
But I don't think verified sources are verified enough, to be honest, because even verified sources can be wrong and can't always rely on the verified sources as well. For me personally, I don't go with the ideology of people who are supporting the party I support. I listen to people who support the opposition party, because sometimes you have to listen to the bad as well in order to understand what you're supporting or what you truly believe in.
Are you actually in reality ready to hear what the other side, and just like not following the herd mentality?
I think personally, if you ask me, yes, I would love to hear the opposition's views because I don't know, it's just a different kind of interest in that, maybe.
Sure.
Because you get to hear the other side, which is actually interesting.
Sure.
You're coming out of that routine and listening to the other point of view is exciting for me.
How do you evaluate and how do you give a basis to your ideologies? How does that process happen?
Personally, expose myself to different sources and take my opinion based on that.
How do you think what Akhil is saying, that he looks into a fact that he basically explores different horizons?
Have to explore thing is always there because it's something that we are not used to. We are first time voters and we, like most of us, haven't been involved in politics and been knowing about what is going
Exactly.
around us. So we have just started looking into it as because it's a responsibility and so that we can be better at it. Maybe if not now, maybe next time.
You are voting for the first time. I am sure there must be a presumed notion where you guys are termed as naive in the political world.
We are voting for the first time. So partly if we are considered naive and innocent, that makes sense because we don't have that much exposure or knowledge about it and it requires experience for that. So if we vote once, if we assess the problem and the current situation in the society, we'll get a perception. But also I would say it's partly false too because it also depends on the thinking process. Thinking process of an 18-year-old can be much moral.
Something that I'd like to add to what Akhil told is
Yes.
the fact that the government allows you to vote at the age of 18 itself goes to that you are matured enough to do that. And also the age of an 18-year-old is different to that of a 70-year-old. So it is,
Excellent point.
yeah, so it is important that the youngsters are given that opportunity to vote so that their needs are ahead.
Who do you see as your CM?
For me, KCR is a good leader. In the last 10 years, Telangana state has seen a lot of development. But again, I'm just curious ki what other parties can do. Only thing I focus on is the IT technology and all. And I don't think I have to mention about how well our IT industry has grown.
Actually, I want to ask them a question regarding, since you guys told that BRS is, doing so much for the IT development and everything. But don't you think IT development is not enough for the
Exactly,
state?
that's what I said. Because for me, from the youngster perspective, IT industry is the only thing I see or the state development which I go. But when you see at the elder perspective for my parents or for my daddy, you might look at the agriculture industry. It depends on them because I'm not as aware of them or I don't have much knowledge about it.
So it depends on perception. So what we look forward to, whatever I and Madhav look forward to, there's a development there. So but when you look forward to some other department, there might have been cons there. So it depends on you what ideology or what opinion you form.
So is it not selfish on our part to just look at what we want?
How much are you confident that this current government ensures that you will get a safe, secure and a sound employment status once you guys are done with the academics?
I don't think so. Any government would actually give us.
I think it is individually based maybe.
Yeah.
You can't just have an intermediate and expect a 7 lakh rupee annual job.
Who do you think would be the probable and a tough competition for the BRS government?
I think it is BJP.
BJP is giving tough competition to Congress and we are.
Do you think that the political parties are maintaining the balance while they're distributing the tickets amongst the candidates? Do you think that they are giving proper preference to the backgrounds of the candidates? Do they come from varied backgrounds? Do you have any notions about it?
I think at the end of the day, the only thing that matters to a political party is votes. How the person or what kind of power the person holds in that particular area or the district. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants vote and wants to win the elections.
Do you think the fact that they come from varied backgrounds, irrespective of the minority category or anything, do you think the parties are maintaining the balance or they are just giving tickets to one particular category of the candidates, or are they maintaining the balance?
Might be just maintaining it to get votes also.
We can't say them just maintaining the balance. It's just for them, in their perspective, whoever leader they think is fine or will probably win the elections, they go.
So you're trying to say there's a vote bank politics?
Exactly. Yeah, they have to maintain the balance no matter what, because sometimes we cannot, deny the fact that this is India and it is like losing its meaning of diversity.
Exactly.
right? So every region, it's like they're gonna choose a person who knows the region very well and who comes from that the same background as majority people does.
Right.
So the votes can go to them.
Having talked about the development and infrastructure bit, I want to understand, do you think that the current government is focusing on a holistic development, or they're trying to just, sort of improve the IT sector only?
Whatever development is happening, it is visible to us.
Right.
So I would say that as far as information technology is concerned, there has been huge development. But I personally see that wherever the software companies lie, for example, take the place in Hyderabad such as Gachibowli, Madhapur and Kondapur.
Right.
We have seen huge development in these areas in the past few years.
Right.
But when we go on to the rural side, not the urban side, there hasn't been a good development, a notable development. For example, consider places like Mehdipatnam, or if you go to the other side like LB Nagar and Uppal, we haven't seen great development in the past few years.
Talking about that, Akhil, are you referring development just in terms of infrastructure, or are you having some other ideas of development also?
What I feel is, it's about how we present ourselves. Even as people, we like to present ourselves well outside, like dressing well or something like that. I think Telangana government is doing the same, maybe, like developing a part of the city to show the development only at that sector so that they can attract people. And I think this is kind of manipulating, because now even if we stay to the other side of the city, just look at Hyderabad towards like Jubilee, Madhapur and all, and we'll be like, wow, there's development in Hyderabad, but we are not focusing on our locality or surrounding areas. There is development. I won't say that there's no development, but there's not much development which is happening at a higher pace in Madhapur and Gachibowli.
We all know that, as you said, it's all IT development and the buildings are there. And like I agree to you guys that there has to be more development regarding the roads and transport, whatever it is. But what we don't know is what we don't see. Like maybe as youngsters, we don't see the schemes that the government is coming up with. As far as I know, there are lots of schemes for like even poor people and farmers, everyone. So I think apart from the infrastructure, there is definitely development happening in agriculture sector, as well as financially government has been supporting the poor.
But personally, don't you feel that this is just a cover-up? Like something that appears beautifully from the outside, like for example the places which I was just talking about, but when you dive deep into it, you just know the reality.
See, there are difficulties that they are facing for sure. They have to, develop more. I'm not saying it is completely developed. They have to develop more. But the thing is, at least they're doing something.
Exactly, they're starting focusing on one sector.
And there are a lot of people who are benefiting from it.
Are you guys confident that the current government is going to holistically develop? Or do you think that no, their focus, or for all time focus, there remains just on one aspect?
It's just being glorified much because
right.
Yeah, you see that the entrepreneurial opportunities that are being given present at this time, they weren't existing that much back then.
So, but don't you think this is the need of the hour?
Yeah, it is, and that is what I'm saying, is that it's just the IT sector that is being glorified, but there is development in other sectors as well.
While Telangana was formed, it came up with this idea of our state, our funds, our recruitments. Okay, this was the idea. Okay, this covers us being united, us having our own employment, everything, right? Do you think this has just remained in terms of a slogan, or do you think this has actually been imbibed in the real essence, in reality? Do you think that has happened?
I believe it has happened because IT sector is growing all around the world as
right.
they're first looking forward to strengthening the state.
Right.
So that has been working as it is the tech hub of
right.
almost whole India,
right.
Bangalore and Hyderabad. So I would say first the state needs to be stable to support other fields of development, and they have been working towards that.
What is that one thing that each one of you would like to have from the upcoming government, or you like to just say to the upcoming government? That one aspect or one key implementation that you want to have the government to implement to?
For me, usually one thing I can say is overall development of the state in all the sectors: road, transport, IT, rural, urban, everywhere.
Every person has their own decision or own opinion they hold. So it can be different, and maybe as first time voters we cannot like judge if we had the wrong government or the right government, or our vote was wasted, or if it was successful. So I don't think like our decision can be made on that. We can just give a chance to the parties and we can just see what they do the work.
All we can do is hope, as first time voters, is hope for the good of the nation, and I would say good of the state.
I think it is the holistic development that matters on the whole.
We have to keep our excitement aside and we have to research on who to vote and how they can benefit our life.
Obviously the holistic development is like really important, but as a first time voter I would want the other parties as well to be clear about how will they develop the state, so that I can choose clearly and do my own research on it and choose the government I would want.